Okay, welcome back everybody to Coffee and Art on Hump Day. Oh, wait, where's Mike? Mike. Okay, so we're going to continue in some coloring segments. We already colored a little bit in Seasons, and now we're going to color some in Zemlja Snova by Tomislav Tomic. And what's the translation for this again? Land of Dreams. I think it's Land of Dreams. So I worked on this last couple of weeks ago, and we did a little bit here on this double page spread. I know I'm really zoomed in, so let me kind of move things over so I can kind of go back and forth. But I want to stay kind of zoomed in so you can see, I mean, at least this far. Well, I probably should even zoom in a little bit more, and I'll just have to move things around because I want you to be able to see shading. This is probably right here the result. Hey, Packer Die. Thanks, Button. Thanks, Blue. I think this is probably about, I think I'm up to about 5 hours of work on this. And I haven't done any shading on any of the animals except the unicorn. The unicorn is done except for his horn, which I'm going to do in gold. But none of the animals, they just have a base, I think I used Neocolor or watercolor. I can't remember. Either one, watercolor or neocolor, which is watercolor in a stick, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so I have washes of color on all the little animals, and then I've been working on the trees. So I still have more shading to do on the trees, but I think what I want to do is work on some of the animals today. I'm not going to finish this today. Um, Thanks. Yeah, I did him in blue and the bluebirds and then part of her clothing. So what I like to do is pick like a palette to have a main palette. And if you don't know what colors to pick in a color book page, go look at design-seeds.com and pick you some colors that you like. Of course, this I wanted fall leaves, so I knew I did a yellow orange and a kind of a orangey red. I don't really have any deep red. I have the orangey red. Um, I mean a reddy orange. And then the animals are all going to be in browns and grays except for the unicorn, and of course the little girl sleeping here, which again her clothes just have a base like a wash on with no shading yet. It takes a long time, especially with all these leaves. What I did on the leaves here, I'm pretty sure I just colored those in with some of the Crayola Kids water-based markers, and just went in. I picked, I think, a yellow orange and a dark orange, and just kind of went in here and started just kind of coloring individual ones like this and trying to space them out. Space them out. If you don't know how to space them out, just like go through and do all the yellow ones, then go through and then do all orange ones, then go do the dark orange ones or brown if you're doing fall or whatever, and then that way it'll be consistently done throughout the whole thing. Thanks, Kenny. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I think, is zoom in on the animal. I just wanted y'all to get the big picture here. And again, I have done a flip through of this book, so I'm not going to do it right now, but it's beautiful. It's just an absolutely great fairy tale book with just awesome images. And so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the animals here. We'll readjust the lighting a little bit and see what we can do here so you can see some shading. Let's go to, I need to lighten, I don't know, I don't want to lighten it too much. No, that's not what I want. I want to try to keep it so that you can see true color if at all possible. And let me go ahead and refocus. And I think we got it pretty good there. Hope that's good. Thanks, guys. All right, so let's just start with this big deer right here. Again, I'm still working on all the branches. See, I'm starting to shade the branches. None of the trees I would say are 100% done. Some I'm doing more birch-like. Some I'm doing just more like wood grainy look here, here. Some of these back ones are going to be birch-like. But they're not done. I'm just, working a little bit of shading, then I'll go work on some leaves. Then I'll go work on an animal, then I'll go back to the trees. This one's probably the most done of any of the trees. This one right here is probably the most done. So, it kind of goes from, say, something that looks like this to something that looks like this. Which picture have you colored, West Virginia Melody? So I'm going to go ahead and start picking up. And again, I'm not going to have 20 colors of pencil and do this like a deer portrait. I think on the unicorn, which I still have to do the shading in the hair or the mane. I think I just used like white and 2 blues, and that's it. So it's not like I'm using 20 colors on these animals. Maybe I will go ahead and do the mane and the tail. Let's go ahead and do that real quick, just because let's finish it up. So I'm going to probably get a magenta color, which I think is processed red. Yeah, magenta. And let's just go with magenta and white, and a Posca or a Sharpie, whichever one you can get a hold of. Sharpie water-based paint pen or a Posca acrylic paint pen, either one. Yeah. I want to see what page Melody colored in. Yeah, it is a beautiful book, and like Kenny said, it's not one page is a filler. They are all beautiful. All right, so I'm going to start, and I think what I'm going to start first is just getting some shading. So I'm going to lightly go in here where I know that the mane will be a little darker, but I'm not bearing down because I'm going to want even darker on top of this. So I'm just going to get some of the shadow here. This piece back there's in the shadow under this leaf. So I'm just kind of picking out some areas where it's actually shaded in the mane. I'm not sure what that's. I think that's just a piece of a branch back there that I missed. Hey, Sarah O. Right in here, it looks like it would be a little darker. And then on top of the head here. And now I'm going to go down here to the tail, a little bit more right here. Go over here to the tail. Under this leaf. Probably under his leg here. And this will be a good example of when you see things crossing over. See how they flipped a couple of hairs, or what is it? Is it hair? I guess, yeah, it's hair on a horse. Flipped a couple of hairs like crossing over the mane tail there. Those are good ones like to highlight. Now let's just say those weren't there. You can draw those in with your Posca. Alright, so right now I'm just kind of get a little bit of shading here. Alright, so there's the first layer. Now I'm going to go back and get a nice sharp point. And I'm going to go in here and color some individual ones. Hey, Button's asking about the solar eclipse. It's passing right over Georgia. I got this from Denise yesterday. I'm just going to kind of flick in here some individual ones. See how that's kind of flicking in some individual ones here of color and still keeping some of the light ones. The schools apparently, at least the kids, Boo and Cam's high school, and I think that district up there, what they're doing is they're keeping the kids at school an extra hour because they don't want the buses, because I think it's like the darkest part of the eclipse here is at 3 p.m. on a Monday, and they don't want the bus drivers and the kids all in the school bus and it goes dark and traffic. They're, I guess for safety reasons, they're going to keep the kids at school an extra hour until after the eclipse. And now I don't know if all school districts are going to do that or what, but theirs is. And yeah, they all have the glasses and everything. I don't know, Picola, whenever we're done with this, I can't give you a time. Sorry. Karen's down the very last page in this. She says she always starts with the last page. So the boat or the flap? Which one was the one you did, Karen? The flap or the boat? The ship, I should say. That's an amazing piece right there. Yeah, that's thinking ahead. Yeah. Okay, Melody, sleep well. I'm recording. Thank you for being here. Melody's in another time zone. Okay, now I'm going to go down here to the tail. Did we lose some of our light, guys? Or are we good? It's kind of hard to tell. It's a cloudy day here, so I've left my windows open. And I think it got a little bit darker. So I'm just doing a few individual unicorn hairs. You did the castle. The castle. One page over. That's a great one too. Oh my gosh. How many hours, and seriously, how many hours do you think you spent on it? Hey, and I wish I could pronounce that with the correct Dutch accent. Dors, can you give it to me in phonics? Dorsche, yeah. My step-grandfather was from Holland, had a heavy Dutch accent all his life, and I still can't do a Dutch accent. I don't want to just call you Door, but maybe that's what everybody calls you. Do they just call you Door? Just flicking a few individuals. Yeah, and detail pages are not for everybody, that's for sure. Elise also did the two flowery dragons looking at each other. And also the fish. You spilled a glass of wine. Oh no! On the back of the page. Dorji. Okay. It's Dorothy in English? Oh, thanks, Jean. Dorothy, Dorothy. Okay. Thanks, guys. Really, Packard Eye? You worked on it a week. Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't. The reason I know how many hours I worked on it, it did get a little dark. The reason I know I've worked on, because I've worked on it here. I worked a few hours on it here. So that's how I know. Yeah, no drinking and coloring. My coffee's a little way over there, so. Okay, so now I've gone and done some of the shading. Now I'm going to take my Posca, and again, remember, I'm going to go over this white with a, like, a light, version of color. So I'm going to kind of pick out a few, and I'm not going to go over every hair, but here's an example. Let me show you one. Well, let me go ahead and get this first. Let me get the ones that I want to highlight. I'm going to pick those out, but I'll show you what I mean about crossing over them. There's already one there, and there, and there. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. I'm going to take the white and I'm going to cross over. Look. Now when I color those over with the light pink, they'll stand out. See, it just looks like there's a few extra little hairs. She already has a few of those like curling up here. And I'm just kind of accenting those. Maybe I want an extra one here. A couple extras. And maybe I'll have one kind of flicking up a little there. Okay. Okay. All right, now back over here. Are you in a book group, Packard Eye? You should be. You're always commenting on the books you're reading. You should be in a book tube something. Okay, so this one. So you can see right here they've already got she's already got some kind of flicking up. But add a few more if you want. Like I can just flick a few over the top. See? I don't want to forget the ones that are here though. Yes, it's only one color of purple actually. Well, it's a wash. It's a watercolor wash, Lena, and then the process red. Well, it's called process red, but it's really magenta and white. Reminds me of your My Little Ponies, yeah. All right, now I'm going to dry it with the heat gun because you want to make sure that's dry before you start penciling over. All right, so now I'm going to sharpen. And just like we did on the cat fur, where we went the white, now I'm going to do the same thing with the process red, lightly going over the white. And it just knocks it back from being a bright white. Now you could leave, in this case, there may be some white, light hairs, but I'm going to knock it back for the most part, so they're not bright white. I might leave a little bit on the tips, a little light, but for the most part, I'm going over all the white to knock it back so it's not bright white, but it's still light. Hello, Shalene. How you doing? Anybody else popping in I missed? Thanks, everybody, for being here. If you're not talking in chat, I've probably missed saying hi to you. I can pop, look over on the chat list and see who's here. I just haven't done it. Actually, I want this little hair here to be. Don't want to lose. That one was drawn in there, and I want to keep it. So I'm barely touching the white. I'm just like very, very lightly going over it. Might keep a couple really light. I signed up for Goodreads because of Cam. I mean, I heard of it from all you guys and everything, but Cam says, Nana, you're not on Goodreads? I said, he goes, you need to be on Goodreads. Because he's always looking everything up on Goodreads, so I did. I signed up for it. Am I over there much? No. But I did sign up for it. I got the Goodreads app on my phone. Okay, so there. So see how I left it kind of, a couple of them a little lighter, but you know, some of them are a little darker. And then I see a couple other ones where I've missed, like there and there. I missed a couple when I did the white. I just go ahead and curl those up a little. All right, let's go down to the tail. So again, I still want those light, but not that bright. So if y'all are joining us, we're going to work on this for a little bit, and then I want to work in my Abandoned Places, Altered Mixed Media Collage book. Julie says she loves Goodreads. Yeah, you were, Julie, you were reading like, didn't you say how many, 100 books in a year or something? I don't remember. It was ridiculous. Not really. I mean, it's awesome, really. But you were reading, I think it was last year, the year before. And Jean does audiobooks. I would like to do more audio. I've never done an audiobook, guys. I'm so finicky about imagining the voice in my head. I just haven't broke down and done audiobooks yet, because I think it's going to change the sound of the story in my head. I know that's kind of silly, but yes, I'm coloring with Prismacolor. They're Prismacolor. Dorji, yeah, Prismacolor. And I'm going to leave some of those little tips light. Something like that. 10,000 pages a year. So it's not really so many books, it's how many like pages. Did he try nonfiction audiobooks? That's a good idea, Jen, because I read a lot of nonfiction, and that won't matter so much. Good point, Jen. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Try some nonfiction. I guess I never really think of nonfiction in audiobooks. You know? I think of like my British mysteries, or I just don't think of listening to a. Well, I'll tell you why I think why it never really occurred to me. In my nonfiction books, I annotate like crazy. I annotate and take notes so much. I annotate in the books. So if I guess, I can still take notes, but it won't be like annotating in a book. Maybe that's what it was. I'll remember that one, Lindsay. I'll remember to try an audiobook in nonfiction. I just I don't know why. I guess assumed that everybody that did audiobooks was doing fiction. I don't know why. When the bulk of my reading is probably anymore is nonfiction. Yeah, well, I guess that would be, the celebrity nonfiction audiobooks, because you can hear the way from the wrote it with their voice, yeah. I know, Jean, but it's a still, Jean says she worried about that at first, but the readers are amazing and many make a living at reading audiobooks. I'm not saying they're not good at it, but their voice is going to be different than in my head. You know? I don't know. It's just going to have a different voice. I'll try. I'm not saying I'm not going to. I just haven't had time. You know, I got stacks of books I'm reading. I think I'm reading, oh, I don't know, 6 or 7 books right now. So, but you've read your 37 books this year. That's awesome. And Shalene and Jen, they probably listen to tons or read. I think they listen and read, don't you, Jen? I know Shalene's on her Kindle or iPad or something. I have the Kindle and the Nook apps, and I have a Nook, but I have the Nook app, so I don't use the Nook because I just listen to it on the Nook app. I mean, read, I should say. I read. Oh, well, that's me too, Kiki, as far as movies go. That's why I've not watched the Game of Thrones, because I want to read the Game of Thrones before I watch the Game of Thrones. So I've not watched not one. I mean, I've seen the advertisement, the previews, the promos, and all that. But I've not read I've not seen any Game of Thrones because I haven't read the books. Cam has read the books and watches Game of Thrones. I've not read the books, so. Nonfiction, it's like not fiction, Karen. It's not a fiction. It's not like a mystery or a romance. It's like real. It's something real. Like, for instance, a history. Now, you can have nonfiction history like books that are like Outlander, but that's a fiction, historical fiction. But like if you're reading fiction, I mean, if you're reading like the Battle of so and so, you know, that's not fiction. Shalene says I have a tablet with all kinds of reading apps, and I get the audiobooks from the library. Yeah. Prisma, you're back. Prisma, I looked for you a minute ago to enable you, and you weren't here. Now you're going to have to wait again for a minute. I looked for you a minute ago to see if you were here to enable you, Prisma, and I think you stepped away. Okay, so let's just see real quick. So I'm thinking I might do a little touch up of something on the unicorn. I have to still do the horn, and I think I'll just use my gold. Do I just want to use a gold gel pen? Let's see what that does. It's not gold enough. I mean, it's gold, but I really kind of want a lumen, you know, like this kind of gold, like a paint. I think I'm going to just go with my Splendid Gold paint, and let me just pop out a dot, just a dot, and paint the horn in, and then I'll shade it, you know, I'll shade the horn. But this is so vibrant. I mean, so luminance. Not like luminance pencil. It's so lumen. You know, it's loomy. Yes, and art books are nonfiction. Exactly. I never had to try to describe a fiction versus nonfiction, but you know, different countries. Southern Press says quick enabling. Trail enabling me. Hang on, Prisma, hang on. I looked for you a little while ago. You stepped away, girl. Now you're going to have to wait. Am I terrible? Wait for it, wait for it. Okay, so I'm just going to put a light coat of, just to get, it's a shimmer. It's a gold, see? There we go. See how that shimmer? There we go. See that horn shimmering? That's what I was going for. You can't get that with the gel pen. Well, maybe you can, but it's just as easy to paint it. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll do some shading on it. Okay, so let's move over to this deer right here. I'm only going to do a couple things. Hang on. Unless you have to go, Prisma. Seriously, do you have to go? If you do, I don't want to hold you up. And don't lie to me. Don't say you have to and you don't. Okay, so let's go to this deer, and I'm going to get the sienna, and I'm going to start shading. That's okay. All right, so now I'm going to start shading lightly. Light. I mean, I know I say it and repeat it all the time, but you have to do light layers if you want to blend. And I do want them to kind of look kind of furry, so I'm going to have some areas in here that are going to be darker. And again, if you don't, just like the cat we did yesterday, if you don't know where the shading and colors are on a deer, I'm just kind of guessing to tell you the truth right now. But if you don't know, if you don't care, then just shade. Just put different colors of brown. But if you really want to shade it accurately, then you, like, I know the little chests are white. Then look it up. You know, look up a reference. And I'll probably put a little bit of flicks of fur coming off the chest. Okay, so like right under the neck here, it's going to be a little shadow. And I did try to make a point, guys, when I did the, because they're in the woods and they're brown and gray, like I have some gray rabbits and things. They're brown and gray, and the trees are brown and gray. You know, I tried to like here's two brown deer behind a gray tree. So I tried to make the trees the color, like either if they were brown, then have the trees gray. If the, you know, the other one's lighter, then I'd have it brown. So I kind of so they had a, you know, they wouldn't get lost, although they'd be camouflaged. So there's nothing wrong with that, but. Okay, all right, Prisma. But you're going to be enabled. I'm just telling you. Prisma was asking about some Bible journaling, and I told her that I had the color book Bible, which I haven't really worked in very much. I've done a few things in it, but I did. Somebody enabled me, so I'm going to enable the next person. And whether you do Bible journaling or not, it looked like it was awesome, so I bought it. So just hang on, Prisma. Get your Amazon cart ready. I know I'm bad. Not as bad as Eileen, but. So you see I'm kind of shading a little here. And I'm not doing fur lines because they're so far away. And deer really have very short fur anyway. But like even the rabbits or the squirrels, I'm not going to do individual little fur lines like I would the cats because they're kind of far away. I might pop out a few, I might pop out a few little white hairs, you know, off the ears or something, or the whiskers, you know, just do a little bit of accent on the edges. But they're so far away, you really probably wouldn't see much actual individual fur, like those close-ups of those cats. Let me finish this deer here. Like I said, I am not finishing this page today, and I want to do the and their little hooves too. The individual deer here. I'm not going to finish all these because I want to do the abandoned places mixed media collage. So I'm just going to do a little bit of shading. And then I'm going to get a tan, probably a light brown tan color. And do the next layer. Just a couple layers. Probably this brown, a tan, and white. And that's probably all I'm going to use on this deer. But light pressure. Oh, thanks, Karen. Zemlja Snova, this book, will be available on Book Depository in October. It will be a Dutch version, but what does that matter? Yeah, exactly. And I think the Book Depository is in the UK, so you probably have to be a little patient in getting it. Although, if I'm not mistaken, I follow. I mean, I'm in the Facebook, the Zemlja. I'm in the Facebook group, but I don't keep up with it. I just don't really have time. I barely keep up with reading with Pugs, Jen's, but I do try to keep up with hers and Bennett Klein. Those are really the only two I really keep up with. But anyway, I'm in their group, and I think you can group order from the Facebook group. So if you follow the Zemlja, let me look it up again. I want to pronounce it correctly. Zemlja Snova. If you follow the Facebook group, I think they do group orders. I think it's cheaper, and I think they try to save on the shipping is what they try to do. So yeah. Okay, Prisma wrote, enabling is a wonderful thing. You can do it in the fall or the spring. All of mine inhabits art. Hurry up, Dede, and fill my cart. Please, will you collect these for me, Prisma? Because I know I'm not going to, remember them. And I can't stop and write them down because that takes time and they scroll off before I can get to them. Write them down. I love these, Prisma. I love them. That's like your third or fourth one. Okay, so let's go here to this back leg. And again, I think under their legs, like in their inner thighs, I think those are white fur too. But again, I'm not using a reference right now, so I don't really know. But I think the inner thigh and their stomachs, their chest and all their stomachs down to their thighs are white fur in there. So if you want to do it accurately, which I probably should, if I post this on their website, they're probably, I probably want to do it kind of accurately. You can order this book from Amazon now. I thought it was out of stock or something. Or someone said something about the Amazon version. I don't remember, Jen. And I think their little tails are white too, if it's a white-tailed deer. So I'm going to do the little tail white. And I'll probably do a little like this here. Like a little bit of like fluffiness to it. Make it a little fluffy. And see, that's what I want to do on the chest here too, even though I'm not done coloring the brown. Have a little bit of white fluff on the chest. Rebecca says it shows $31 on Amazon. Yeah, it's not cheap, I'll tell you. A lot of these international, the Croatian, Dutch, Swedish, unless they have an American publisher or put it on, Amazon and stuff, they're not cheap. But hopefully enough people buy them so that they'll get more published in other countries. Right? And I appreciate those girls that gifted them to me. Kenny and Tracy, Squamoon Tracy, Frank got mine from a seller on Amazon. It said used, but it's got no issues. Okay. So someone just bought it to resell, maybe, Jen? Yeah, I saw your post on that. I forgot about that. Okay, so something like that. Maybe a little darker right in here. See, I'm keeping this one kind of a light brown. Some of them, like he'll be back further. So. And again, if you want to see any animal, just look them up, so that you know what colors they are. If you want them to be kind of the right colors, right? You don't have to. Just like, I got me a teal unicorn here with purple hair, right? Thanks, Pat. Have a good one. Thank you. And Pat, you haven't told me about how your granddaughter and Cheer's going. Lately, anyway. Okay, let's do a little bit about around the ears here. Something like that. And I do try, and I think I've already done most of these. I take the Sharpie pen, and I do the eyes, like the pupils, black. And that's true with anything. They're not, the printing of the color books for the most part is not pure black. It's almost like a dark gray. You ordered on the Facebook group, Is that with the shipping and everything, Cheshire, the book and the shipping? Okay, now I'm going to get a tan color, like a flesh color. I need to, oh, that's not one. Here we go. Like maybe ginger root. Yeah. Ginger root. And I'm going to go over the top of everything I just did and further. So in other words, like I'm going over the brown I just did, but I'm also going up into the light color. So it's smoothing out and blending the dark brown, which I might need to go put another layer of dark brown, but I'm also going up into the cream color. But it's blending out the brown too. Very light. I can't stress how lightly I'm pushing. See how far back I am on the pencil? And so it's blending in the brown, smoothing it out. Even though it's lightening it up, it's lightening it up some too. So I might have to go back with another layer of the dark brown and just keep going back and forth until it's blended out like I want. And I think I want a little darker on the edge of these ears. Let's see. Because it's going to get lost on that tree if I'm not careful. Yeah, and it's all what you like. I mean, if you spent $30 on one color book that's got 50 pages in it that you loved, you know, that's really a bargain if that's the only one you bought. Of course, you know, we don't ever stop at one.